everyone, and welcome to what I am affectionately, at least for now, calling our speed run. Why am I calling it that? Well, on occasion, the stars just align. This whole build was only a week from start to finish. Well, there's no time like the present, so let's get started. You know, I'm certain that there are better castings out in the world than this Mattel version, but this Mattel version has the already existing tail fin on it. And of course, that'll save me a step. I will, however, have to remove the tail fin louver, whatever that is, over the back window. And as Johnny B taught me, I'm going to have to get rid of the SVO scoop. Aside from that, it should be a pretty easy, basic build. Let's throw it in the goo. For the children of the 80s out there, does this remind you of when Kit from Knight Rider got thrown into the vat of acid? I'm fast running out of axles, so I'm going to try to save these two. Although I probably should have known better. For whatever reason, the back axle on this Fox body model just does not want to come out. Oh well, it's not like I don't have other donors in the shop. What do you say we get that body out of the goo and get it cleaned up? It's like a really gross game of hide and seek. Alright, so once I've got the remainder of the goo cleared off of the body, I'll put it into some distilled water and rinse it off. Sometimes this works great, and other times, well, this. Yeah, I think I'm going to wind up having to wipe it down 2 or 3 times just to get the extra goo off. I really need to get some water run out here to the shop. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's get this thing polished up and get it into paint and primer. Oh, I almost forgot to do the little bits of bodywork that have to be done. First, like I said, I have to cut off that tail fin that's over the back window. I'm not entirely sure why it's actually there. I mean, I've never seen it in real life. Maybe you Fox body fans out there can tell me if it's real or not. Now that that's done, I'll grind off the SVO scoop. The contours of the hood of the casting seem to be pretty accurate to the real car. I don't know. I might 3D print a hood scoop, but I don't know. This looks pretty good. Since I'm originally going to be painting it in flat black, I really want a clean surface, so I'm going to rinse it off in some alcohol before I polish it up. Once it's shiny, I'll put it back into the alcohol one more time for good measure. And then it's on to paint. I'm not entirely sure why it's a different kind of paint, but Rust-Oleum's flat black seems to be problematic. You'll see a full example of that later. Okay, maybe it's time to start getting some of these parts put together and see how this thing looks. The Lucky Dog Mustang has a full roll cage in it. It also has that nifty netting over the driver's side window. It's almost like they want to take this thing racing or something. Yeah, that looks like a pretty good fit. I am going to have to cut out all the roll cage around it, but the netting should be fine. I really do like the wheels off of this M2, but as you'll see later, I'm going to replace them. I actually found some wheels that are much more accurate. Now let's get all of this stuff into paint. I did have a big long section about how I created the decals for this, but Vic's kind of a dummy, and he didn't record it. I printed 2 sizes of decals, but I only really needed the smaller one. And there are a lot of decals on this car. I'll show you the beginning of the process, but even sped up, it's a little long in the tooth. Once all the decals are actually applied, I'll get some more flat black and touch up the white edges of the decals. It's a bit of a long process, but you kind of get the gist, right? There are some 35 decals on this car, and every one of them has 4 edges that need to be cleaned up. I probably should have left this for Foggy, but I didn't really have the heart. So after all that work, I finally decided to clear coat it, and well, let's just say that didn't turn out so well.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Okay, let's try this again. I think this time I'm either going to go with a different manufacturer for flat black, or more likely I'm just going to go with a gloss black. It isn't 100% accurate, but here's the result before I touched up the edges. This section of video is also proof of concept that I sent to Eric. This time I think I'm going to pass it off to Foggy to fix the edges on the decals. I just don't have the heart to do them again. With that though, it's on to the glamour shots.